Sounds like you had some expectations. Why was that?
I just thought it would be good. I just thought.
I want you to unpack what you just said. I want you to unpack what you just said. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather, and we are here with His Royal Highness, King Grant.
What's up, people? We're back. This time, it's with Destroy Lonely. If looks could kill. He's dropped his latest album. I would say a TikTok star. I would say. I don't know how high If Looks Can Kill is on the charts, but I would say it's bubbling on the charts. Where I feel like there was like a little bit of a trend, you know, the opium thing where dudes are just like in this crazy like pose, right? And the music is just playing in the background. I've seen a bunch of TikToks like that, so he's been on my radar since then. And I kind of been waiting for this album just because I've been trying to figure out what a full body of work sounds like when it comes to Destroy Lonely. But going into this, I would say I was excited going into this. How I feel about it currently, this is a different story, but but it was exciting. So tell me about your Destroy Lonely thoughts pre-album.
I was excited for it. Honestly, me and my friend Omari, you know Omari.
Yeah.
We had a whole Destroy Lonely and Ken Carson like convo over like 2 or 3 days before this album dropped. And I didn't know the album was coming out, and I don't think he did either. We just happened to be talking about them, like, what do you think about Destroy Lonely? Thinking about Ken Carson. Can they get bigger? Like, you know, just kind of going through what we thought. So I was pretty excited for it because I think this subgenre of hip hop, as much as it's not my favorite, it really, really intrigues me.
Yeah.
Because of the place it takes on the internet.
Yeah.
And, you know, the internet has become a substitute for real life to a lot of people. That's not actually the case. But in a lot of people's mind, the internet is a substitute for real life.
Yep.
So I'm always intrigued by, you know, dudes who come from this subgenre and what they do with their bodies of work, their look, you know, their rollout. So I was just intrigued because it seems like he's had projects before, full-length projects before, which is rare. But this is like, you said bubbling. Bubbling's the right word. He's, you know, coming to the surface a bit more.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, the previous, like, it's almost like kind of like Doja Cat. Like, there was a time, like, she had previous work, but when Moo came out, okay, it's like, okay, now show me what happens afterwards is what's really important to me. And I think for Destroy Lonely, it was pretty much the same thing. It's like, okay, If Looks Can Kill, the single came out. Okay, now you're like visible. You can look back and be intrigued that way. But it's really like, okay, so what is it going to be like now? Because now that, you know, your piece of art has come out and it's gotten people's eye, it's like, okay, so there's going to be more ? Hopefully. And that's pretty much why I was like really looking forward. I was actually really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to this. Just because I like the single so much. But going, you know, like starting to rev it up, I was also like in.
Okay.
You know, I was also pretty much in. I like the very beginning. I think the very beginning where it's like How You Feel and If Looks Could Kill, that is like, okay, we're in here. Electric guitars, you know, it's muddy, it's gruff, right? And it's a lot of I feel like I don't want to say anger, but it's very visceral. So I'm like, okay, now we're talking, you know. So that's how I felt. Like that's, I would say, all my thoughts like pre to the album, and just like the taste test, you know.
No, it started out really good. I'll say that. Yeah. Like, it is a very long album. I think we have to before we get into any of the intro of like who Destroy Lonely is, for those who don't know. Yeah. 26 songs, an hour and 23 minutes. This is one of the few podcasts I can guarantee you will not be longer than the album. Yeah. Because this is a very, very long project.
First of all, it was really curious to me is like, he's an internet artist. Most internet artists don't do that. Like, they usually go for a short project, you know?
Here's what I think I would disagree. I think that this subgenre of hip hop does go for the long projects.
Do go for the long projects.
No Stylist's last project was super long as well. So that's something. It's very intriguing because
Yeats' music is long too. Yeah,
exactly. A lot of these guys who sound like this, they come with these 40,000 songs on the project. So it seems to be a symptom of what comes from that sound.
Yeah, but it's so weird because then you think of like Pink Panthers or even Ice Spice, like they're dropping 8 songs, 10 songs, 2-minute long, 2:30, 1:30. Yeah. I'm listening to Destroy Lonely. I'm like, this is long as hell.
Yeah, I think that the difference between someone like Destroy Lonely and Pink Pantheress or someone like Ice Spice is that those groups, those artists are more away from the internet than Destroy Lonely is. There's no way you know Destroy Lonely is if you're not on the internet. Like, no,
that's true.
It's true. Like, there's absolutely no way. Like, I have friends who don't have Instagram on their phone. Yeah. They're up to date on the music and that kind of thing, but they're not on TikTok. They're not on Instagram. Yeah. They don't know who Destroy Lonely is, but they know who Ice Spice is. Yeah. And so I think that is a clear delineation. Very young. Yeah. He's born in 2001. It's crazy that we are reviewing artists who were born 2001.
Yeah, man. People are in their 20s. Go ahead.
No, I always use this as like a measure to see how young someone is like, do you remember 9/11? What day was it on? That's always my question. So in the comments, if you know what day 9/11 is on, you're old enough. If you don't know what day 9/11 is on, you're not. And this is someone who was basically not even a year old when 9/11 happened. Yeah. So I can't even do that test with him. But he's an Atlanta native, and he talked about his name in his interview with Generation Music. And I think him describing how he got his name and kind of who he is a great way to go into this album when talking about the lyrics as well. Now, he said his stage name Destroy comes from his feeling that drugs were destroying him. He said, I had an era when I was in high school and I was like doing drugs and shit. So I was on Xans and I used to be geeked the fuck up. I'd come to school at 7 o'clock in the morning, just geeked up. Like, I don't give a fuck about nothing. I'm on Xans, I'm geeking. But like, I knew I was likewise enough, I guess, or just I wanted better for myself. So I knew if I kept doing that shit, I'd fuck myself up in a way on some corny shit, destroy myself, like self-destruction. So now I'm gonna just use that as the first part of my name. This is a very drugged, influenced project.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that is clear. So just to hear him talk about it from his perspective of the effects drugs have had on him and how that's even a part of who he is as an artist. Yeah, very important to looking at his lyrics.
Oh, you think so?
For sure.
Okay, because you know what? I think when it comes to Destroy Lonely, I'm gonna be honest with you, it did not move me. This project did not move me. I think that I think that his music is like big time Future influence, right? Future, Playboi Carti,
Travis
Scott, Trippie Redd. So I was like, okay, I recognize that. I also recognize the artists we're talking about. Lyrics are not the biggest part of their music, which is fine. Again, love Playboi Carti, love Future, love Travis Scott, etc. But I think my biggest issue with with him like lyrically or like vocally is like it's one flow all the way through. Just think of like if you really have to think about listening to a flow for 90 minutes straight. You're gonna start questioning. So you're gonna start questioning some things real quick. I think that at the beginning, like, if looks could kill. So what the flow I'm talking about is that one word at a time flow, right? Like if looks can kill, that's where there's multiple words happening in each bar, and I think it's like his best song currently. And that sounds great. The guitar is melding in a nice way with his voice and stuff like that. But then when you basically step outside into like fly shit or which one, we're getting to the zone of one lyric at a time. He raps like this. And that is so unbelievably irritating to listen to because it becomes monotonous. That's what I think when I listen to his music. I'm like, damn, this shit is getting old quick. It's getting old quick and it's very long. And it's going to be going on for a long time.
It took me, honestly, a few listens.
Yeah.
I just all the way through. Like, yeah. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was like my third listen when I finally got through it all.
Yeah.
And I did the thing where I got to like song 9, then continued, then had to pick up from song 18.
Yeah.
And then I said, let me try the whole way through. And I finally got through it. But it definitely was not a like first time we just sailed through the like. And this is so funny because, you know, we're this podcast that lives on the internet.
Yeah.
We talk about things going on the internet and sound bites. Comparing this project this week, If Looks Could Kill by Destroy Lonely, to last week's
Jack Harlow
Jackman. And you know there's a side of the internet that is going to say this is complete trash over here with Destroy Lonely, or Jack Harlow is complete trash with Jackman.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think our scores will reflect where we stand in that side.
Yeah.
But again, it's just two sides of the internet because this album is almost a full hour longer than the Jack Harlow album. So I just think it's such an interesting choice.
Mind-blowing to even think about that. And also, like, the style of music is just complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like, literally opposite ends of the spectrum. But Jack Harlow's is more lyrical. Like, the white artist is doing the lyrical shit, and the black artist is doing, like, the more of, like, aesthetic type of deal.
You know white rappers love lyrics.
Yeah, so, I mean, they do. But, yeah, so I think that's my biggest issue. And I could pick out songs, really, of, like, you know, they're doing that. I think, you know, Which Way, Going Up, Passenger, Promo. It's so many of them that are just that one word at a time flow. And also, his voice, he sounds like he's straining all the time.
Purposefully.
I know, but all the time, though?
I so funny. I was going to bring that up in production, but let's talk about that right now.
Yeah.
So I showed someone Destroy Lonely, and it was someone who I almost knew for certain would hate his music.
Yeah.
But I just want to hear everyone's opinion, give everyone the benefit of the doubt. So what do you think of him? You're a big hip hop fan. What do you think of him? And the voice is something we came onto right away. And the fact that it's purposeful and always straining. And I think that is what makes people like his music to some degree. I do think there's a bit of that where everyone like, it makes him stand out in a sense. And I think people like that about him. But I think it's the straining. That choice is kind of puzzling to me. But I do understand it because some of those iconic rap voices make the artist. You think of someone like Jadakiss or Ghostface. Their voice and the fact that they sound just like them makes them who they are. I think that I was expecting him to not strain as much. I don't know why when I've never heard him not. Yeah. But the way that we see Yeat use multiple voices on a project, that's kind of what I was expecting from Destroy Lonely. And I thought that he had some of that in him. But to have this strain, and you talked about the same flow, to have the same kind of strain in your voice with the same flow for all these songs, it's like he's almost making it possible for you to think of him as an album artist. Because with both of those things, you become so monotonous so fast. These songs are not long, and we probably got 20 minutes into the project and said, "Oh my god,
yes,"
you know. And it's like because of especially the voice, doing his voice like that gives you that energy that it's like I can only listen to 2 or 3 of these in a row before I'm done. So I think the voice, I understand it in terms of I think that's why a lot of people like him. So I think there's a lot of fans who like. That's their favorite part about him is his voice. But I do think that is a misstep in terms of gaining new fans. Because if you listen to a couple songs of this with this voice, you're just like, why does it sound like he needs some mint tea?
Yeah, like it sounds like he needs, or it sounds like, honestly, to me, it just sounds like he's trying to take a dump so bad. And he's just like, yo, it looks like kill.
Yeah, I imagine his face flexing. Like, you know when you see someone like on a motorcycle?
Yeah, and the like wind is hitting you? Like, that's what it feels, that's what it seems like. It's just like, oh, it's like this all the time. And like, it hurts my own, like, just doing that just now destroyed my throat, bro. So I don't understand how he's doing it. It cannot be good for his vocal cords. There's no way. But there's that, and yeah, so I'm just like, dude, the amount of straining that it takes, it sounds like it's hard for him to get through all the music, let alone me trying to listen to everything. So that's my biggest gripe. And it's actually a huge gripe because this is a long album, and for you to sound like you're straining, like this sounds like you know Don Toliver?
Yeah.
Like he sounds like Don Toliver. but without the vocal range of Don Toliver. You know, like it's just constant, just like that one note all the time. And it's irritating, bro. It's kind of irritating.
I don't think I hate it as much as you do because I do think that there are songs where it works. Like similar to when Don Toliver appeared on Astroworld.
Absolutely.
As soon as you heard his voice, you're just like, who is this? I think that there is some of that here with him. Like if he were to do more features and had a song with someone else, it would stand out where you'd be like, who is that who's been drinking gasoline? So I do think there is something to that, but I think that being the only voice is more my issue. Yeah. The voice itself, I don't have a problem with because the songs that I like on here, I rap them in that voice. you know, like I enjoy the voice. I think that's like me personally, something I enjoy about rappers is rappers who have like a distinct voice. Yeah. No one sounds like them. Even someone like Danny Brown, who he's putting on a voice, that's part of the Danny Brown appeal. Yeah. Is that that voice no one else sounds like. But my issue is that that's the only voice. And so I think if he were to change that around, it'd be a whole different issue.
Yeah, like you take he's influenced by Future, big time.
Future has multiple voices.
Future has multiple voices. Yeet, same lane as you. Yeah, Yeet has every voice. Yeah, every voice in the bag. So I'm just like, you gotta switch it up. I feel like he's just like he's a step behind his contemporaries and even his primogenitor, bro.
Yeah.
Like you're a step behind. Like you sound like the origin point, but the origin point already exists. And he's already doing more shit than you. So I feel like you're. It's basically underutilized a lot of the tools that are in the bag.
Yeah. And I think this is partly why I don't enjoy this subgenre of hip hop as much, is that a lot of this, you talked about the lyrics, something not inspiring. A lot of this part of hip hop is more just like the fact that you're even rhyming is, a feat. That's really what it is. There's not that much deep lyrics. There's not that much, this lyrical devices that are being used where you could be like, oh, that was so cool that he did that. Like, it's more just the fact that you even rhymed words. Yeah. Is impressive.
And also how it sounds. So that's why what we're talking about is actually like a big gripe for it, right? But you said you had lyrics, like actual lyrics.
Yes.
I applaud you for this.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have very much.
Yeah, I have a couple. If Looks Could Kill, yeah, I'm with you on that probably being his best song. I wanted to highlight the chorus because I think it's so interesting. And I'm going to preface it with this because I think Destroy Lonely is the reason why a lot of your friends, your acquaintances who rap and you don't like their music, he is part of the reason for that. I think there's a lot of rappers out there who have a lot of similar content to Destroy Lonely, similar sound, but are not as talented, not as good. And he is their hope. You hear someone like him, you see someone like him, and your cousin that raps who you absolutely hate his music, he's seeing someone like Destroy Lonely and being like, I can make it. There's still there's a lane for me. So I want to preface it with that, like that he is the hope for that group of upcoming rapper that we all just wish they would go back to working at Lowe's and put the mic down. But at the beginning, in the chorus of If Looks Could Kill, he goes, I got hella hoes trying to fuck me and my bros. I got hella shows lined up, I'm on the road. I got hella green, I got hella chose. These niggas green as fuck, I'm about to get over. No, bitch, I'm not greening out. You can nugget over. I just like to ball hard, but like Dellavedova.
Shout out to Matthew Dellavedova, bro. That's probably the most.
That was, the Dellavedova part is what got it for me because I was just like, this is the definition of like you're just rapping to rap. Because if you say ball like Dellavedova, like anyone who knows ball is like, what does that really mean? Like shout out to the Terrence Ross reference that we had a few weeks ago. This is akin to that, where it's like me saying ball, like when people say ball like DeRozan. DeRozan's still an NBA All-Star. Possibly a future Hall of Famer. He's made All NBA. That there's something there. DeRozan's a scorer. Like there's something there. Someone who says ball like Dellavedova is like, what does that really mean? Like, ball like Dellavedova sounds like you're broke or like, you know what I mean? Like, ball like it's almost like you're self-deprecating yourself.
Yeah. Also, Matthew Dellavedova has not been relevant to the NBA since literally 2015.
2015.
So it's almost like a 10-year-old reference.
No, and he was relevant for 8 days. Like, you know, it's like yes, it was a very high profile 8 days.
Yeah.
But that shows of like, but again, that's a matter more of the fact that it even rhymes, it goes like that is a more symptom of that. So
yeah,
I want to highlight that because the Dellavedova part, because before that he says, I just like to ball hard.
Yeah.
Ball like Dellavedova.
Yeah.
We just are saying right now, balling like Dellavedova is not really balling.
Yeah, words are just coming out now.
We're literally, it's verbal diarrhea. And then before that, it was very, very basic. Like we mentioned the up-and-coming rappers who are still using MySpace. Mm-hmm. They all have hella hoes trying to fuck me and my bros. Yeah. Shows lined up, I'm on the road. Like, we've heard that 30,000 times.
Does this guy not? I'm gonna be honest with you, this guy reminds me so much of Nav. Like the
wow,
yeah, it's like the amount.
And for y'all who don't know, Démar does not mean that as a compliment.
Yeah, that when I say you sound like Nav, you need to pack it up. Okay, you need to pack it up. Nav also extremely popular though, right? Mm-hmm. Extremely popular, but this is like the same shit. Like just like Nav, one tone, right?
Yeah.
The lyrics are we're just shooting every rap trope available. We're throwing them out there. Certain whatever drugs, the girls, random basketball reference to a player. Literally, like, if you're a basketball fan, you listen to this podcast, you know how just like, what the fuck? Why would you ever care about Matthew Dellavedova?
Why would you want to ball like Dellavedova?
Yeah, what is like balling like Dellavedova? It's like you shoot a spot up three and play really hard defense.
For 8 days.
That's at least he was doing it in the finals, but that was pretty much it.
You know, yeah.
And so it's just like, and then the production is actually extremely similar to Nav's too. Like the guitars, not so much, but then when it starts to get to that watery style of production, I'm getting very Gunna Nav vibes. Strong Gunna and Nav vibes. And that to me is just like screaming to me like, we're just not really super focused on what's going on here. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know. Like I was actually, when it got to like really analyzing like the lyrics and like the vocal performance and stuff like that, I was really like let down, bro. I was really let down.
Sounds like you had some expectations. Why was that?
I just thought it would be good. I just thought
I want you to unpack what you just said. I want you to unpack what you just said.
I just thought it would be somewhat good. Like
you just seemed like you didn't have a reason to think that. You just thought that. You're like, I don't know why. I thought it would be good.
You know why? Because most of the artists that we do from the internet, like I would say from quote unquote the internet, they're actually really good.
Yeah.
You know, like people like Doja Cat, Pink Pantheress, Yeet. Like these people are actually good. It was just like the internet was their breakout. Yeah. But the shit that they do is actually awesome. Right? So when I've heard Destroy Lonely in the past, I saw legitimate potential.
Same.
And so when I've gotten to this point where I'm just like, oh, it's just like Nav, but with like a different tone.
Voice.
Yeah, it's a different voice. I was let down, bro. Like I didn't think we would be here.
I can't go as far to call him Nav. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that to him. I actually did like a lot of his production on here.
Me too.
I think that his production is probably gonna keep him in this realm of people for the foreseeable future if this is how his production is gonna be. Yeah. Because I do think that his like this album basically has no features. Ken Carson is on the end of here, the bonus track, but basically no features.
Yeah, it's just him.
This production, there's probably 18 of someone's favorite rappers who would want a piece of this. Yeah, that's true. Like I can't see a world where Lil Durk doesn't want to hop on Fly Shit.
Yeah, Fly Shit. Wagwan is a really good one produced.
Yeah, so it's like I really like the production on here. Yeah, it is very similar. So I don't even want to highlight one song because it is very similar. But I do like the production. Yeah, and I don't think it. Here's my thing. I don't think it being similar is as much of an issue because when I heard this album, the production of it, I thought to myself, this could be someone else's project who maybe is more lyrically talented, has more depth to their range in terms of vocals. That we would say this album might be a no skips. True. Just production wise, if someone else was the one performing on it. Yeah. So in that sense, I'm like, I can't really hate on the production at all because say it was Travis Scott. If Travis Scott did 12 of these production wise, maybe it's a whole different project than Destroy Lonely doing it.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. There's a lot of similarities in between the songs, and I think that actually adds to the monotonous thing that I was mentioning before. But even though they are similar, they are pretty good. Any track that is featuring an electric guitar, that's really good shit. And I think sorry. Any track that is featuring an electric guitar, I think is really good shit. I think that as soon as he deviates from the electric guitar, we're getting in some choppy waters, you know? Like a Chris Paul, where it's almost like it's like a kind of like this really choppy like piano, or maybe it's not even a piano, maybe it's like a digitized xylophone. And the drums and the 808s just sound like this weird like melange of stuff. It sounds like kind of like a mess. But like how you feel, that shit is good, bro. Like having that guitar lead coming in, I think is awesome. There is one track where I legitimately think like that you need to cut it or like reproduce the song is Worth It. Okay, I want to point out this one part where where I was like, I thought like my internet cut out or something?
I'm screaming
because at 1:24, right, where he is where he's rapping, right, and he keeps rapping, and then like it's like a build up, right?
Yeah.
There's this build up of the production. And then he's rapping, and the buildup, like, kind of like it hangs, like it's gonna do a drop, and he keeps rapping, and then it literally sounds like the producer, just like clipped it, and then they just like copied, paste, and then paste it right next to each other. No drop. It sounded like
no anticipation,
nothing. It just kind of just like jumped back in, but in a way that just didn't.
It wasn't even a jump back in. Like
it wasn't even a jump back. It kind of just like seeped back in.
Yeah.
You know, that was terrible. Like that was genuinely bad. So there's ups and downs, let's say.
Yeah.
But the downs are like, this did not sound legitimately. I'm like, this did not sound professionally made to me. That's how bad it sounded to me. Cause I was like, because it was so obvious though.
Yeah.
It was so obvious, and it was so it seemed like it was such a mistake. I don't really know how else to put that. Like it genuinely sounded like this was not produced properly, or didn't like overlook it, or didn't master it properly. Like it felt like it got put on, and people were like, "Oh shit, I forgot to finish the beat."
Yeah, I'm gonna finish it. All right, it's out.
It's out, so I'm not gonna change it. That's what it felt like. But I think the production overall is good.
Yes,
I would say it's good, but I would say it's a lot of tracks where, you know, a lot of old heads would say the producers are carrying this generation of hip hop. The producers of this project are carrying this shit, and he is like, anytime Destroy Lonely comes on, I'm like, is he going to break the backs of the people carrying the song?
I'm screaming. Is he gonna break the back?
And I feel like on Worth It, you just crush people. Like that was just terrible.
Yeah, I think, you know, we can move on to talking about his career.
Wait, you don't have any songs? Which songs do you like that were like the production that you really like?
The main one I would highlight production wise is Safety, the interlude.
Dude, you're a big interlude guy.
Yeah,
you love interludes.
I'm here for the interludes, man. Too deep for the.
What was so good about it?
I think that was just the only song that really took it at a slower pace. Like it reminds me of some of the early, you mentioned Gunna, actually early Gunna songs that were more R&B-ish. Before he became the Gunna he is now. Yeah. So Safety is the one for me that really is good. And you mentioned how you feel. I think is a big one too.
Yeah. Anything with a guitar, honestly.
Yeah, I honestly think that the guitars work so well with that sound. Yeah. And it's funny. It reminded me like his song Fly Shit. I thought about Future's song Fly Shit Only, and Future's other song Razzle Dazzle. Right. And I think that there is something to that. Like, it's like the guitar can bring that chaotic, manic energy more than the lyrics have to or the drums have to. Right. Like, we've had these kind of like hissing hi-hats been so huge in trap music. And I think that they've almost, I don't want to say dirtied the waters in a sense, but they've kind of really taken away from the actual proper production style of using different styles of drums to create a certain tempo.
Right.
But the guitar can do that as well.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I think a lot of these songs, you know, the hi-hats are super understated and the guitar creates the energy that is like the hype energy he's going for. So then production is a huge plus for me.
How do you feel about his use of misuse, the absence of ad-libs? You notice that there's no ad-libs? He doesn't ad-lib at all.
He has some. I think he's not on the Yeet level, obviously. I think he does have some ad-libs. I just think this is like he's in a very raw part of his career. I think that, like, no offense to him, but this is the exact type of person who you meet them in high school and they go, yeah, man, I listen to everything. And you're like, oh, for real? Me too. Like, who you listen to? And they go, Lil Uzi, Playboy Cardi. And you're like,
wait, hold on a second.
You know? So
that's the same guy.
Yeah, he gives me that energy. But in his head, he's like, I'm the most unique and no one's doing what I'm doing.
Right.
So I think he's at a very raw stage where he's more using ad-libs in a traditional sense in terms of what hip hop is now.
Yeah.
But he hasn't found that way where it's a whole separate part of the song the way Yeet or even the Migos used to do.
I'm just, I guess I was just like, there was just, like the Yeet, even Future has a ton of ad-libs.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't have his own ad-libs.
Yeah, that's
like he does use ad-libs, but there's no ad-lib that's him using it. Like how Migos have Mama. You know, like there are plenty of songs that there's nothing about their mama in the song. And you're hearing a mama as an ad-lib.
You know what would be a great ad-lib for him? A whistle. I think if he had a whistle ad-lib, it would do a lot for his work just because of how dark and how gritty, muddy his music is. If he just had like a right, I think it would. I legitimately think it would do so much for a lot of his songs.
I think that could work.
Yeah, and I think because he's similar to Future. I mean, he's obviously very similar to Future, but he's similar to Future in the way like their tone of voice is similar. It's deep, really, really, really deep compared to your Playboy Cardis or Luzi's. Like they have like a really higher voice. So I think that contrast of the whistle that Future has done on, there was that song that he was on feature on with Nav, actually.
Who, Destroy?
Future.
Oh, Future, yeah.
Where he was using a whistle in his one of his tracks. So I do see what I'm saying? Like all of those things are coming together, and I just think he's not using all of the tools that are available to him. And I think one last thing, I think Moment of Silence. I love the guitar on that. I love Wagwan. I think that the dial tone included in that is dope. I'm trying to go through all my production notes that I like because I know that I've been shitting on this guy. Okay, I think that
he didn't produce any of the album, so you're saving the album, but you're not saving him.
Yeah. I think one thing that there's one song where I was just like, this is bad too, where it's like, Come With It, whereas like at the beginning, whatever that shrill like sound is, that sounds like a truck stopping, that screech. Fuck, bro. That is so irritating. Like that is actually genuinely like I stopped the song. Like I stopped listening to it. I remember when I was driving here, when the song was coming on, I thought it was a truck stopping that was making that song.
Wow. You're like, what's going on here?
When I'm at home and I hear it, I'm like, stop, bro. Like I skipped that. That's almost an instant skip for me. Just off of that
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Damn.
Literally.
Damn.
So there's ups and downs in production, but I think production is probably the highlight of this project.
I think it's obvious production's clearly a highlight. There's no question about that. But I think that to be a fan of someone like Destroy Lonely, I think your musical palette has to be a certain way. I think that you being a fan of people like Cardi and Yeet is pretty rare. I think that your understanding of hip hop as a whole, music as a whole, has to be very limited.
Yeah, narrower.
To be a fan of someone like Destroy Lonely, because there are things that you're mentioning that you're saying are missing from the music, and you're mentioning other artists who are very much akin to his sound that are doing similar things. So, if your palette is open enough to be like, I see this person doing this, I see him not doing this. There's a problem over here. I'm gonna go listen to that guy.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to have kind of that wherewithal to choose Destroy Lonely in a sense. Because if I'm listening to this album and it, you know, again, it took me a bunch of listens to get through it, why would I choose this project over listening to my favorite Future songs or my favorite Yeet?
That's exactly it. I'm thinking, I'm like, if you listen to Destroy Lonely, I'm like, just listen to Yeet or Future instead at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about this career-wise for Destroy Lonely, man?
I do think that this is going to help his career, even though I don't love this project.
Yeah.
I feel like the fans of him will love this project. This is one of those that I do feel confident that, you know, whatever score we're going to have is going to be different from the score the fans will have.
Yeah.
But I think that this, he's really bubbling at this point where he's becoming a part of the consciousness of people who are not necessarily Destroy Lonely fans. And I think having songs like How You Feel, If Looks Could Kill, that those may just be the songs that people know, and that is enough to help him forward to people who are not aware of him.
Yeah, that's true.
Because again, a lot of people just decide how they feel about you either at a time in your career or from an album just based on the song.
Right.
They're like, oh, this was the album that, you know, Rihanna had work on it. I love that album.
Yeah.
I can't name you 4 other songs, but I love that album. And so having a song like If Looks Could Kill, I don't think it's going to cross over by any means, but I think that song is good enough that those who are not really Destroy Lonely fans will at least have a reference point to be like, he made a song I like. I've heard of him. So in that sense, I do think this helps his career, but I think this more keeps him in the box that he's already in.
Right.
Now, I think that a lot of artists from this subgenre have no problem staying there. This is where they want to live, build a home, start a family, get some real estate. This is where they want to stay. But I think this album in particular, especially lyrically, just keeps him there.
Yeah.
Like I think we both saw potential in what this album could be and potential in what he could be as an artist. That potential is obviously still there. But I think this album makes us feel less confident about the potential.
Yeah, I think so too. I do agree with you when you like If Looks Could Kill, because it's kind of like a meme.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
On top of being a good song, it is a good song. That could help you like next year if like somebody says Destroy Lonely, it wouldn't be alien to them.
Exactly.
Right. It would be like, oh, okay, If Looks Can Kill. I remember that. It's like, actually, that was an album. It's like, oh, he has an album?
Yep.
That type of deal. I think it's going to be good for him overall just because it's another body of work, something you can point to, all that good stuff. But artistry-wise, it just shows me very raw.
Yes.
Extremely, extremely raw at this point because a lot of
he's on his Jordan Poole right now.
Facts. That is a big fact. You should be talking about Jordan Poole instead of Dellavedova, bro. Because that's who you are right now.
Oh, man.
We're seeing good shit, but like when it was time to perform, where are you at? Where are you at? I think that I just think he needs to start taking notes from people around him. Maybe he thinks he's too cool to do that.
Yeah, he definitely does.
The guy's born in 2001, so you know, I mean, I can imagine being 22. You're probably just like you don't give a fuck, which is totally acceptable.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
But I think he's just missing things right now. And his vocal style, he needs to work on that, bro. That's it's such an obvious. It's so obvious to me. I'm like, you only got one voice. I think for him, like it's almost like I kind of don't think he understands the type of music that he's making to the extent of like the type of music that you're making where it's like very visceral, very muddy, very much like you're trying to make the skin or the hair on people's skin raise. He thinks that it seems as though from his music that he's making something closer to like Jack Harlow, right? Where like I'm just rapping. This is the production. I'm rapping whatever I'm rapping about versus where you're actually making music more like Future where it's like, it doesn't matter what the fuck you say.
Yeah.
But it matters how it sounds.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you got to figure out how to make your voice sound weird. How do you finesse the auto-tune to make weird sounds? Can you introduce a whistle? Can you introduce a adlib? Can you introduce, you're more of an abstract painter.
Yes.
Right? When you think you're more of like a realist painter or something like that. Like you think you're Picasso when you're like Jackson Pollock. You know what I mean?
I'm screaming.
Or James Pollock, right? So like you're that's the issue.
He thinks he's Picasso, but he's James Pollock.
Yeah, so I think that's the problem. But if he can come to realize closer to what he's actually making, I think there is a lot here because I think the guitar style production, like the electric guitar, that sounds really good. Voice sounds very good over that. Just got to add more elements. I would love to hear him have a feature on one of his songs, just to mix it up.
I was gonna get to that. That's where I want to see him grow. Let's talk about the cover before we talk about features and him growing that way. The cover I do like a lot. I think artistically, especially visually, there are a lot of right things about what he does. I think visually he's, probably ahead in that sense. So this cover is a good cover to me, but I you know what, I can't, confirm this, but I would guess that Destroy Lonely is in the Call of Duty chat room Hall of Fame in terms of what's being played over there. But this cover is really good. I do like it a lot. This picture, whoever took it, shout out to you. This is an amazingly well taken picture. So yeah, I like this cover a lot. Yeah,
big Future influence, I feel. Even in his presentation,
Future's never had a cover this good. Respectfully,
I know that's true.
Respectfully, Future's never had a cover this good.
Well, okay, if you say so. I like DS2, but that's okay.
DS2's a stock photo. I'm not gonna give credit.
You can still be. Hey man, there's the amount of songs that exists that is literally just like somebody found a preset on a Casio,
loop,
and they just press that button
like nonstop.
Or even what is that, Slang Tang? That's a preset, bro.
100%.
So it can be a stock photo and it's still legit.
It can. But I love a well taken photograph.
But yeah, it looks dope. I think that the color, I think that the absence of color is awesome. I think that just like he's holding like an axe or something like that in his hand.
Rocket launcher.
Is it? I don't even know.
No, it's his axe.
Hold on, I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, I think it looks cool. I like the hat. I like everything about it. It looks very ominous.
Yes.
Very, very, very ominous. And I think that it definitely sticks out. I feel like if you had that on a shelf, it would look awesome.
Oh, 100%.
Do I think it fits the music? Sort of.
Yeah.
But it's not, if I was gonna, put it on a shelf, I would put it on a shelf. Like something like the Jack Harlow one. I don't know if I'm putting that on a shelf.
You're not trying to see Jack Harlow's chest? Come on, you're not inclusive. What's wrong with you?
I think but the Caliucci's one, I would put that shit. I would put that monster display in the house or something. I would
put Caliucci's everywhere.
Right. So I think that if looks could kill, the cover looks fantastic, great, and he's also in the middle of it, but you can't even see his face fully.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It looks cool.
It's perfect. Before we get to actually, if we're gonna be getting the vinyl and the score,
I'm not getting the vinyl. I just wanted to tell you that straight up.
All right, we'll skip that section. We'll skip that. Questions and I'm not getting it either. So question answered. But he was number one on the Spotify charts.
Yeah.
Briefly when the album just came out, ahead of Ed Sheeran. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's big respect.
He's only had one Billboard chart history, and that was his last project, reaching number 91 on the Billboard charts. So I'm interested to see where this lands and what that does for him. Yeah. But when I want to talk about the features quickly, I thought about a lot of artists from this subgenre are so much engulfed in this subgenre. Just like the NBA YoungBoy fans. Yeah. It's like to them, they're the biggest thing in their orbit. You know, they have no clue that someone just outsold them 8 times over. Biggest thing in their orbit. I think that has been a detriment to a lot of these artists. And I think to Destroy Lonely, like he definitely could make a killing with features. I think that's where his voice would shine. Like on a 26 song, I don't want to hear 26 songs of you straining. That's really not it for me. But I think if he, started to do way more features, and especially to bring his production to these features, so many artists would love to have, his production style in their catalog. Yeah, that's true. And his voice on some of these features would stand out right away. So I think that's where he's really missing the boat. I'm not really hopeful of that because, again, a lot of artists in the subgenre stay away from features. Yeah. A lot of things are, done themselves. But I think if he were to get into his feature bag, he would easily be like bigger than a lot of artists very quickly.
Yeah.
Because his voice would stand out just automatically, and his production style. Like, think about so many artists where it's like their fans probably don't have any songs from that artist in his production style.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where something he can really improve.
Yeah, and I think he can introduce other people to his world. Like Trippie Redd would sound, I think, great with him.
Yeah.
Future would sound great with him. Uzi would sound great with him. Don Toliver might be a little bit duplicitous just because they sound their vocal style sounds similar. So there's like, I think that. Well, honestly, he's an up and coming artist, so it's like getting the features that we're talking about is gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna have to pay for that one. It's not. I don't know if it's like because there's some artists you can really do. You know, like Kali Uchis, she does shit with Tyler Creator. She said that it's not a paid thing. She only does music with people that she fucks with.
You don't think Destroy Lonely's gonna get it for the love? You don't think so?
I don't think so. Maybe Yeet though. I think he could connect with Yeet mad easy.
Nah, I think there's beef. I have nothing to base that off of.
Share music.
Yeah,
is beef. Yeah. So I think that
these guys are not friendly.
Yeah, the feature thing, I think is like a big opportunity for him both ways. People on his music and him into other people's music. How You Feel would be sick for a lot of artists.
Yeah,
Travis Scott. Yeah, that would be sick for him. So, so that's how I feel. I don't think it's a no skips. It's a pretty easy skippable for me. I think I already pointed out the song specifically where I would skip on. Come With It again.
Yeah.
And not grabbing the vinyl. So I can just ask you, what is your score?
I love how Démar was so quick at saying that I'm not even gonna get the vinyl at all. There's no chance.
Not even close.
No skips. No chance.
Not a close. No.
For me, this is a 5.
Okay.
And it's
that's a generous 5. I'm gonna be honest with you, respectfully. That's pretty generous.
No, it is a generous 5. It is a generous 5, and it's a 5. Honestly, a lot on the strength of the production. I think that the production on here
very strong.
He definitely has something with the production, and I do think that there is something with his voice, which is part of the production. I just think that being his only voice is the issue. So for me, if looks could kill, Destroy Lonely, I would give that a 5 out of 10. I don't think this album is going to age well.
No, me neither.
I really think that this album is going to probably get worse the more you listen to it. And this album, for some people this is like their whole shit, for sure, they got 100 Yeet songs they're listening to every other day. If you're new to Destroy Lonely, this is going to be a hard album to go back to. And a hard album to go back to listen to all the way through. So that lost him some points. And you're right. This is maybe my most generous 5. Yeah. But I'm giving it a 5 out of 10.
So for me, I think this is a 3. It's really I think the production is good, but then there's obvious times where I'm like, this song is not complete, or this song is so annoying that I skip it. And it's the beginning of the song. So there's issues with the production, even though I think that I think any song with a guitar, excellent.
Yeah.
But if you deviate from that, like there's a couple of songs in the middle where it's like that watery style of production. Just heard it before. Nav, Gunna, Lil Tecca. Those guys make hundreds of songs in that style. So heard it before. It's generic. Don't need it. And then on top of that, the vocal, if you're making a song where the production is also extremely familiar, and then your vocal style is just the same thing I've been hearing for like an hour, that's a bad song.
Yeah.
So I think that the production when it's the guitar, awesome. Vocals, gotta switch it up. There's gotta be some sort of variance. Lyric wise, whatever. I don't really care. So it's a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
It's bad. Wow. Okay. I'm comfortably trying to take my voice from me, bro.
You sound like Destroy Lonely right now.
I know. I can comfortably say it's not good. Okay, I'll stand on my my 2 feet in saying that it's not good. But obvious avenues for improvement. Just like I think we did Yeet a year ago.
Yeah,
where we're like, it's all right. But obvious ways to improve. And he has.
He improved.
Right? And the latest album's good. Like really good.
Yeah.
So I think that same space. I think you know what he could I feel like he could sample like bands, you know.
Yes.
I feel like he could sample like if you sample like a metal or even something like even
R.I.P. Blink-182.
Yeah, seriously though.
Yeah.
I think he could sample that and I think it would sound really fucking good for him.
Yeah.
Right? So there's ways to improve. But now I'm just listening to Yeet instead. I'm just listening to Yeet instead. I'm just listening to Future instead. Even Ken Carson, you know, like there's more things, other things, more varied things that are happening in this space that I can live without Destroy Lonely. But I want there to be more good shit. I want every artist to succeed, you know. Anytime we do these reviews, I try to stress that. I want every artist to be successful. But this was a miss for me.
Yeah, and I think for the both of us, we definitely expected more from him. Yeah. We don't always expect more from artists. We sometimes we're just like, we know you're garbage. This is what it's going to be. We both expected better from him. So hopefully this is not the last review we do of Destroy Lonely. Yeah. That's what I'll say. Hopefully this is not the last review. Because we have put artists to bed of like, we will not be reviewing their albums until something changes. We're not there yet with Destroy Lonely. Yeah. There's still hope, but
I would say this is strike one or strike two. Because if there's another one like this, you're getting put on ice. Nav got put on ice. Yeah. Young Boy got put on ice. Do not become number 3, bro.
Yeah. You don't want to get put on ice from the Album Mode podcast. It's not a place you want to be in. For everyone who made it to the end of this podcast, you guys know what to do. Leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars, not a single star less. Make sure you subscribe to us on all your podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and of course, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at Album Mode Pod. Find us on Instagram at Album Mode Pod, on TikTok at Album Mode Pod, and on Twitter at Album Mode Pod. Please let us know in the comments, what did we get wrong? If you think this is a 10 out of 10 album, we would like to know.
I would love to hear that. I would love to hear the rationale behind that.
I want to find the fans. I know we should have, someone we didn't put on ice that we should have was Lil Skies.
Oh my God.
That was, honestly, that was even crazy we even reviewed his album in the first place. But the Lil Skies fans came out and let us know that they loved the album. I think that was absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, that was interesting.
They love the album. So I want to hear from the Destroy Lonely fans. If you guys love this album, please let us know. Album Mode Pod on all your social platforms. But until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.